Hey Harmonizers, welcome to this video with Evelyn and a little update of her horsey shenanigans. So this is her in King, where she was learning to do some leading and figuring out how to get him to go over poles and go around standards and stuff like that. She's done a bunch of leading with her pony, but this was kind of the first time that she was leading one of Mummy's big horses around. So it's kind of fun to see her figuring out how to lead him around the different turns and take him around. But probably the most rewarding part is seeing King, who's just a 3-year-old off the track thoroughbred, be so calm and relaxed and be at a place where he can be taken around by a little nearly 3-year-old, dragging him around the little poles and being so tolerant. So she did quite a lot of the turns and getting him to go over the poles. It was kind of funny because she was saying, Mr. King, come over this way. And he's doing a bunch. So she took him around a couple times, and then I was trying to tell her that, he's done a lot of things really well, so we have to give him a cookie. So then she brought him over to get a cookie from me. And we hear a lot in training, I can't use cookies because my horse will become a cookie monster. They'll be really horrible with their manners. And I always tell people that a horse isn't born knowing how to be polite. Just like how my kids don't know please and thank you, we have to teach them how to be polite. And so here's a good example. He's getting a cookie from this little tiny human, and he's not, being really pushy. She dropped the cookie. He's waiting for her to get it again and takes the cookie, and he's not pestering her for more. And that's because we teach manners, and that's super important with our kids and with our horses. Here's just a couple little clips of around Vermont. Super gorgeous. They had this neat all-natural playground which had all these stumps and logs that the kids could walk along and balance on, which was kind of neat. Just absolutely beautiful there. And with that whole cookie thing, just try to think of that next time, is that it's a skill that you have to be able to teach your horse rather than expecting them to already be perfect at taking food by hand. You usually do have to instill some manners there. So it's a skill that needs to be taught, and try not to have that expectation that it's going to be really easy. And just like kids, some are really easy to have manners and some are not. This is just a couple little clips of a restaurant that we went to wrap up our time in Vermont. And then it was back home time. This is Evelyn on her pony back at home. So we've been working on riding all by herself. And when I say working on this, she probably just rides once a week, maybe even once every other week. It's not a super big priority for her or us, just with everything else that we have going on. But she's starting to learn the steering all by herself and taking Dare around, and she's been learning to hold her posture better. So hopefully you guys see a big difference in how she's holding her reins. We've been trying to make it fun, and she loves Paw Patrol right now. So instead of, really critiquing her and being like, all right, hold your hands like this and, sit like that and heels down and yada, 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 and being too picky, we try to make it fun. So I'm like, all right, show me Paw Patrol position. We've got to be Paw Patrol on the ready, on the double. And that means hold your reins with 2 hands and you're on the ready to steer and tell your horse where to go. And she thought that was pretty funny that we're doing Paw Patrol position. Depending on the day, it might be we're doing chase position or sky. It just kind of depends, but trying to find a way to make that fun for her. So then it was show day, and it was a little bit rainy or a little bit kind of mucky. You may notice some mud spots on her breeches there because she fell in the mud on the way to the arena just walking from our house. And there's the guys doing it with Melina, the barbecue. And then it was time for her class. And so this incident happened where this was a horse that was visiting for the show, and obviously a horse that would have been very quiet at home but not used to being here and is pretty upset. And so in this situation, you can see I'm with Evelyn kind of off in the corner there. You want to just make sure that you give people their space. If you're ever at a horse show and you see a horse having a hard time, the instinct is sometimes to want to run over and help, but that can be even more overwhelming sometimes. So you can ask, do you need help? But you want to give that horse some space. You want to give that human some space. And especially if you've got a little one, you want your horse to stay off to the side. you don't want to be anywhere near where that horse can get run over. And you can see I'm kind of watching and I'm blocking and I'm very much keeping an eye. And that's really important because if that horse comes close over to Dare, I want to make sure that I can push Evelyn and Dare out of the way, make sure that they're going to stay safe. So that horse was pretty upset. So it did a few little circles as it was upset there, and then they end up leaving the ring. And luckily they had brought another horse with their group, so they were able to get another horse for their lead line rider, which was great because, you know, that's kind of sad to come to the show and not be able to ride, but definitely you need to have a safe, appropriate horse for the little ones to get on, which just made me appreciate Dare even more and how rock solid she is. And, you know, even though I got this really old pony that maybe doesn't have as many years left, she's exactly what Evelyn needs to boost her confidence. And so thankful to have her and that we get to spend her final years with her, and she gets to take it nice and easy with my kiddos as well. So lots of fun. So as we're coming around here, the class ended up being quite late in the day. So normally Evelyn would go down for a nap at like 12:30 in the afternoon, maybe 1 o'clock. And this class ended up being not until a little after 2. So Evelyn was so tired, but check out her good little riding position. We're doing Paw Patrol Position, but she is so ready for a nap. Poor girl was so tired. Barely made it around the classes, and then definitely went straight to bed afterwards. And this is with me trying to pep her up with, like, I gave her a cookie and tried to give her some sugar to wake her up. But she hung in there. The other kids in the class, for the most part, are all older than her, so they didn't have quite the same issue with nap time as she did. And there you can see we did a little halt transition, and then she just gets so tired and is kind of slumping over. And Dare is just doing her darn cutest to be super quiet. And when you're doing a lead line class like this, ideally the kid is doing the riding. They're doing shorten and lengthen the reins. The judge asked them to, and she didn't really know what to do, so she lifted her hands. And ideally the rider is doing all of the cues, and I'm just there making sure everything stays safe. And here is our little trot that we do, and you get to see her little bouncing that's going on there. We still do not have our posting trot happening. We do some posting at the walk, but she's a little reluctant to learn the posting trot. But we're going to put her in a week of riding camp with her cousins, so I'm hoping that that will help her see the other kids learning how to post trot, and then maybe she'll want to try learning post trot too. We're just not pushing the issue, but here's her little trot going around. She ends up losing a stirrup on this trot, but doesn't fall off when she loses her stirrups. But it's a pretty funny trot. We definitely have a ways to go with learning that, and Dare is definitely a sweetheart. Here we lost our little stirrup, but she stays on. She does a really good job, and she's so exhausted and tired. So she ends up getting a couple yellow ribbons in her classes. She has zero concept of that people are being placed in order. She just thinks you get different colored ribbons for the show. But that is my little Evelyn update of her horsey shenanigans of what she's up to. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments. Is she cuter with Dare, or is she cuter with King? Let me know what you guys think. And as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.